Hello and welcome to session 4 of Generosity, Gift and Grace. And in this session we're going to be thinking a bit more about generosity.
Have you ever been to a restaurant and you've ordered something and when it's arrived the portion size has been tiny?
Thankfully that isn't the case here at Archbishop Temple School.
When Jesus taught about the kingdom of God, he often used meals as a way of demonstrating God's generosity and kindness.
There's a story that comes from the Far East where a man is taken to visit heaven and hell. When he goes and visits hell, he sees a huge bowl of rice and people sat all around the bowl of rice. All the people are gaunt, they're thin, they're undernourished. They have chopsticks to eat the rice, but unfortunately the chopsticks are 1.5 meters long. Every time they use the chopsticks to pick up the rice, they're unable to get the food into their own mouths. The man is then taken to heaven and he sees exactly the same scene, a huge bowl of rice. People sat all around with 1.5 meters long chopsticks. But this time, all the people are happy and contented. They're well nourished. The difference in the scene is that when people pick up the rice with their chopsticks, rather than attempting to feed themselves, they feed one another. And by that generous attitude of serving other people, everybody is well nourished. It's a marvellous picture of generosity.
There's a similarity between that story and part of Jesus' teaching on the plain, which is recorded in Luke chapter 6, verses 37 and 38. Jesus says, "Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." As we reflect on generosity, gift, and grace, we might want to think about how we reflect those qualities in our own lives. The Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him. He will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people from one another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right, and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me." And the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did of these for the least of my brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me."
Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed. Go into the eternal fire prepared by the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, or in prison, and we did not help you? He will reply, I tell you, whatsoever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life.
There are many different ways to work for justice in the world and to show compassion. You might want to talk as a church community about ways in which you can make a difference.
When we think about generosity, it's such an important characteristic in the Christian life. To illustrate this, I'm going to think about one more story. There is a story about a king who was loved by his people. They knew him to be a kind and generous person, a person who had brought peace and prosperity to the kingdom. The king had a son and invited the whole kingdom to come to his son's 21st birthday celebration. As the people received their invitations to this great party, they were somewhat dismayed that on the invitation there was an instruction. The people attending the party were required to bring a gift for the prince. The gift was to be a container, and the gift was to be made out of precious metal. The people were anxious about how they could afford such a gift. So they decided that yes, they would bring a container with them, but it would be something that was small, minute, a miniature, like a tiny goblet. However, there was one woman in the kingdom who loved the king and appreciated all that he had done for his people. And she resolved that she would try and bring to the young prince the most precious gift, the most lavish and generous gift that she could afford. And so, working hard and saving all her money, she had a silver platter made. The people came to the party at the palace. There was food, there was drink, there was laughter, there was dancing. The king then announced to all the guests who were assembled, and he invited them to show the gifts that they had made and brought for the young prince. Each of the people came forward bearing their small containers, showing them to the king. And then the young woman came forward and showed the silver platter that she had made. The king, with a broad smile on his face, thanked the people for their gifts and said, I have opened the gates of my treasury, and as an act of generosity and love to my people, I want you to go into the treasury, and whatever container you have brought, you they fell.